In a land where stars whispered secrets to the moon, there lived a fairy princess named Ilara, who, despite her shimmering wings, had never flown a day in her life. Ilara's wings sparkled like morning dew kissed by the sun, but a mysterious spell had robbed her of the memory of how to use them. Determined to rule her kingdom with grace, she surrounded herself with friends who filled her days with laughter and love. There was Pippa, the mischievous pixie who could charm bees into making lavender honey, and Finn, the noble brownie who crafted enchanted armor for the woodland creatures. Together, they brought joy to the kingdom of Luminera. One day, a desperate call came from the neighboring human kingdom of Eldoria. A curse had turned their prince into stone, and only a magical feather from a fairy princess could save him. Knowing the cost, Ilara hesitated. Her wings, though beautiful, had never been used. How could she fly to the distant land and retrieve the feather? "You've always had the power, Ilara," Pippa said, her tiny voice trembling with belief. "You just need to trust your heart." Ilara's heart raced as she stood on the edge of the highest crystal tower. Closing her eyes, she leapt, the wind catching her wings. For the first time, she soared, her friends cheering from below. The thrill of flight filled her soul as forgotten memories returned, and she felt free. She flew for days, braving storms and shadows, until she reached the enchanted forest where the feather of hope grew. Guarded by a fierce dragon, Ilara spoke not with weapons but with kindness, sharing the dragon's pain of loneliness. The dragon, moved by her empathy, gifted her the feather and offered safe passage. Returning to Eldoria, Ilara placed the feather on the statue of Prince Callum. The stone cracked, and the prince emerged, golden-haired with eyes as bright as the morning sky. "You saved me," he whispered, gazing at her in awe. As days turned into weeks, Prince Callum joined Ilara's circle of friends, helping to unite the two kingdoms. Together, they taught both fairies and humans the power of courage, kindness, and friendship. Ilara, now confident in her wings and her heart, discovered that the true magic lay in the bonds she shared with those around her. And so, the fairy princess, who once forgot how to fly, became the queen who taught the world to soar. In the heart of the enchanted forest, where sunlight danced upon emerald leaves and streams sang melodious tunes, there lived a fairy princess named Lyria. She was no ordinary princess. Her wings shimmered with hues of gold and sapphire, and her laughter could make flowers bloom instantly. Lyria was loved by all in the kingdom of Silveria, but she had one secret dream: to see the world beyond the forest. The elders warned her of the dangers outside, where magic was rare and humans ruled. Yet, her curiosity only grew. One day, while exploring the Whispering Meadow, Lyria found an old oak tree with a peculiar door etched into its bark. The door glowed faintly, as if inviting her in. With a mix of courage and wonder, she pushed it open and stepped into a swirling portal of light. When she emerged, Lyria found herself in a land unlike any she had known. The trees were sparse, the sky a pale blue, and strange creatures roamed. A human village. She shrank herself to the size of a butterfly and flitted among the people. In the village square, she spotted a boy named Aiden. He sat alone, sketching pictures of birds and flowers in the dirt. Lyria noticed something special about him. His sketches came to life briefly before fading away. "A hidden gift," she whispered to herself. Curiosity piqued, Lyria revealed herself to Aiden. Though startled, he quickly grew fascinated by her. She told him of the enchanted forest, and he shared his longing to bring joy to his gray world. They struck a deal. Lyria would teach him about magic, and he would show her the human lands. For weeks they explored together. Lyria enchanted seeds to grow instant gardens, while Aiden taught her about human music and stories. As their bond deepened, Lyria's magic began to amplify Aiden's gift. His sketches now leapt to life with vibrant energy, delighting the villagers. But not everyone was pleased. A greedy merchant named Boran grew envious of their newfound fame. He captured Aiden, demanding that Lyria grant him eternal wealth. Fearing for her friend, Lyria agreed, but she wove a clever spell. The gold Boran desired turned into leaves the moment he touched it, and he fled in shame. Lyria freed Aiden and revealed the truth. Her time in the human world was limited. She had to return to the forest before the portal closed forever. On their final night, Aiden gave her a parting gift, a sketch of the two of them standing beneath a glowing tree. Lyria enchanted the drawing, promising it would always remind him of their friendship. With tears in her eyes, Lyria stepped back through the portal, leaving the human world behind. Back in Silveria, she often gazed at the stars, wondering how Aiden was faring. Meanwhile, in the village, Aiden's art transformed the lives of his people, bringing color and magic to their once dull world. Though they lived apart, their friendship became the stuff of legends, a tale of a fairy princess and a boy who dared to dream. And so, their story echoed through time, a reminder that magic and friendship know no boundaries. Once upon a time, in a hidden glen deep within the enchanted forest, there lived a tiny fairy princess named Lilia. Her wings shimmered like dew-kissed flowers at dawn, and her heart was as kind as the spring breeze. One day, the glen's magic began to fade, turning the vibrant blooms to gray. The fairies were worried, for the forest's life depended on the magic. Lilia, though small, was brave. She ventured to the heart of the forest, where the ancient tree of wonders stood, its roots entwined with the earth's magic. Lilia sang a song of love and hope, her voice a gentle melody that awakened the slumbering tree. It opened its ancient eyes and, moved by her pure heart, restored the magic to the glen. The flowers burst into color once more, and the forest thrived. The fairies rejoiced, and from that day they called Lilia the heart of the forest. And so, peace and magic returned, thanks to the courage of one little fairy princess, and they all lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a land bathed in golden sunshine and rolling emerald hills, there stood a magnificent castle at the heart of the enchanted forest. This castle was home to the beautiful and kind-hearted Princess Ilara, known far and wide as the Fairy Princess. With wings that shimmered in the moonlight and a heart full of magic, she was beloved by all who lived in her kingdom. One day, as Princess Ilara wandered through the forest, she came upon a curious sight: a grand, ancient oak tree with a hollow at its base, glowing faintly. Intrigued, she approached and found a tiny, glowing crystal inside. As she touched it, the crystal spoke. "Free the prince who sleeps in the castle of shadows, and your kindness shall be repaid." Ilara, ever curious and compassionate, decided to embark on this mysterious quest. She returned to her castle and gathered her most trusted advisors. Together, they discovered that the Castle of Shadows referred to an old, forgotten fortress hidden deep within the darkest part of the forest, where sunlight barely pierced through the dense canopy. With a heart full of courage, Ilara ventured into the forest, her wings carrying her over treacherous paths and through enchanted glades. Finally, she reached the castle, its towering spires looming ominously against the twilight sky. Entering the castle, she found it eerily silent, with shadows dancing along the walls as though they had a life of their own. At the heart of the castle, in a grand but desolate hall, Ilara found a young man lying on a bed of thorns, his face peaceful yet sorrowful. This was Prince Aiden, who had been cursed by a vengeful sorceress to sleep forever, surrounded by shadows, unless awakened by true magic born of kindness and courage. Ilara, without hesitation, drew upon her fairy magic. With a whispered spell, she summoned light from within herself, casting away the shadows and breaking the curse. As the final tendrils of darkness dissipated, Prince Aiden's eyes fluttered open, meeting Alara's gaze. Grateful and awestruck, Aiden rose and knelt before Alara. "You have freed me from an eternity of darkness, and for that, I am forever in your debt," he said. Alara, smiling warmly, helped him to his feet. "No one deserves to live in the shadows," she replied. Together, they left the Castle of Shadows, their journey through the forest now filled with laughter and joy. When they returned to Alara's castle, the kingdom celebrated for days. The story of their bravery and kindness spread far and wide, bringing hope to many. In time, Prince Aiden and Princess Alara grew close, their bond forged in courage and compassion. They ruled the kingdom together, their reign marked by peace, prosperity, and the enduring magic of kindness. And so, the tale of the enchanted princess and the cursed prince lived on, a testament to the power of love and bravery. And they lived happily ever after. One sunny morning, Anna woke up with excitement bubbling inside her. She rushed to Elsa's room and knocked on the door. "Elsa, wake up! Let's go on an adventure today." Anna's voice was full of energy. Elsa, who was already awake and reading by the window, smiled at her sister's enthusiasm. "An adventure? Where do you want to go, Anna?" Anna thought for a moment. Then her eyes lit up. "Let's explore the enchanted forest. We haven't been there for a long time, and I miss our friends there." Elsa nodded. "That sounds like a great idea. Let's invite Olaf, too. He loves adventures." Just as they were about to leave, Olaf came running toward them, his small feet barely touching the ground. "Did someone say adventure? I'm ready. Where are we going?" Anna laughed and explained, "We're going to the enchanted forest, Olaf. It's going to be so much fun." Olaf jumped with joy. "Yay, I love the enchanted forest. There's always something magical happening there." The three friends quickly packed some food and supplies, then set off on their journey. The path to the enchanted forest was beautiful, with colorful flowers blooming on either side and birds singing sweet songs. Anna, Elsa, and Olaf enjoyed the walk, talking and laughing along the way. As they reached the edge of the forest, they noticed something unusual. The air was filled with a soft hum, and the trees seemed to be whispering secrets to each other. Anna tilted her head, listening carefully. "Can you hear that?" "It's like the forest is alive." Elsa nodded. "Yes, the enchanted forest has its own magic. Let's go in and see what's happening." As they ventured deeper into the forest, they were greeted by the forest spirits. The tiny glowing beings floated around them, creating a beautiful light show. One of the spirits came forward and spoke in a gentle voice. "Welcome back, Anna, Elsa, and Olaf. We are so glad to see you again, but we need your help." Olaf, ever curious, asked, "What's wrong, little spirit?" The spirit explained, "A large rock has fallen and blocked the river. The water can't flow, and the plants and animals are suffering. We tried to move it, but it's too heavy." Elsa immediately stepped forward. "Don't worry, we'll help you. Show us the way." The spirits led them to the river, where a huge rock was indeed blocking the water. Anna looked at the rock and then at Elsa. "Can you use your magic to move it?" Elsa nodded. "I'll try." She raised her hands, and with a wave, a cold breeze blew through the forest. Ice formed under the rock, lifting it slightly. With another wave, Elsa pushed the rock aside, and the river began to flow again. The spirits cheered, and the animals came out of hiding to drink from the freshly flowing water. The forest seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Elsa. You've saved the forest," the spirit said gratefully. Anna hugged Elsa. "You're amazing!" Olaf clapped his hands. "Yay! Elsa did it. Now the forest is happy again." The spirits wanted to thank their new heroes. They gathered around and gave Anna, Elsa, and Olaf a special gift, a glowing flower that never faded. "This flower will guide you whenever you need light," the spirit said. It's our way of saying thank you. Anna accepted the flower with a smile. It's beautiful. We'll cherish it forever. The day was getting late, and it was time for the friends to return to Arendelle. They waved goodbye to the spirits and animals, promising to visit again soon. As they walked back home, the sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Anna, Elsa, and Olaf talked about their adventure, happy to have helped the enchanted forest. When they reached the castle, Kristoff and Sven were waiting for them. "How was your adventure?" Kristoff asked. "It was amazing," Anna exclaimed, telling them all about the river and the spirits. Olaf added, "And Elsa saved the day with her ice magic." Everyone gathered around, listening to the story, laughing, and enjoying the evening. Anna, Elsa, and Olaf knew that many more adventures awaited them, and they couldn't wait to see what the future held. And so, their friendship grew stronger, and their hearts were always ready for the next adventure. Once upon a time, in a kingdom surrounded by enchanted forests, there lived a brave prince named Leo. He was kind-hearted and always ready to help those in need. In a hidden glade within the forest, there lived a fairy princess named Aurora, whose wings shimmered like diamonds. She had the power to make flowers bloom and rivers sing. One day, the kingdom was threatened by a dark cloud that spread across the sky, blocking the sun and turning the fields to dust. The king called upon Prince Leo and said, "You must find the source of this darkness and save our land." Prince Leo, armed with his sword and courage, set off on his quest. As he rode through the forest, he heard a soft voice singing a sad tune. He followed the sound and discovered Princess Aurora sitting by a wilting flower. "Why are you sad, fairy princess?" asked Leo. "The darkness has stolen the light from my forest," she said, her wings drooping. "I wish I could help, but my magic is not strong enough." Prince Leo knelt before her and said, "Join me, Princess Aurora. Together we can find the source of this darkness and bring back the light." Aurora's eyes sparkled with hope. "I will come with you, Prince Leo." They traveled deep into the forest, following the trail of the dark cloud. They crossed roaring rivers, climbed steep mountains, and faced fierce storms. Along the way, they helped animals trapped by the darkness and brought hope to villages overshadowed by gloom. Finally, they reached the heart of the forest, where they found a dark cave. Inside the cave, a wicked sorcerer was casting spells to spread the dark cloud. "You cannot defeat me!" the sorcerer sneered. "The darkness will cover everything!" Prince Leo drew his sword, and Aurora raised her hands, channeling the last of her magic. Together, they confronted the sorcerer. Leo's bravery and Aurora's light combined, creating a powerful beam that shattered the sorcerer's dark magic. With a loud roar, the sorcerer vanished, and the dark cloud began to fade. The sun broke through, bathing the forest in golden light. Flowers bloomed and rivers sparkled once more. Prince Leo and Princess Aurora returned to the kingdom, where they were greeted with cheers and celebration. The king declared, "You have saved our land with your courage and kindness. From this day on, you shall rule together, bringing light and hope to all." And so, Prince Leo and Fairy Princess Aurora became the beloved rulers of the kingdom, spreading joy and magic throughout the land. Once upon a time, hidden deep in the heart of a lush, green forest, there was a magical place called the Enchanted Forest. In this forest lived a community of tiny, beautiful fairies with wings that shimmered like rainbows. The fairies were known for their kindness and their ability to make plants grow and flowers bloom. Among these fairies was a young, curious fairy named Faye. Faye was different from the others because her wings were not as bright and her magic was not as strong. She often felt out of place and wondered if she could ever make a difference. One day, a terrible thing happened in the enchanted forest. The great, ancient oak tree at the center of the forest, which was the source of all the fairies' magic, began to wither. The leaves turned brown, and the flowers around it stopped blooming. The fairies were worried, for without the great oak, their magic would fade away. The fairy queen, a wise and gentle ruler, gathered all the fairies. "We must find the golden dewdrop," she said. "It is the only thing that can save our tree. But the journey is dangerous, and the golden dewdrop lies beyond the dark forest." The fairies murmured in fear. No one dared to go to the dark forest, a place filled with shadows and unknown dangers. Faye stepped forward, her tiny heart pounding. "I will go," she said softly. The other fairies gasped. "But Faye, your magic is not strong," they said. "How can you go alone?" Faye looked at the withering tree and then at the fairy queen. "Even small wings can carry great courage," she said. The fairy queen nodded. "Then go, Faye, and may the light of the stars guide you." Faye set off on her journey. She flew through the forest, her heart full of determination. As she entered the dark forest, shadows danced around her, and eerie sounds filled the air. But Faye pressed on, her wings glowing faintly with hope. She finally reached a hidden glen where a single golden flower grew. In its center was the golden dewdrop, shining like a tiny sun. Faye carefully picked the dewdrop and cradled it in her hands. Suddenly a dark wind swirled around her, and a voice boomed, "Who dares take the golden dewdrop?" Faye trembled but stood her ground. "I am Faye, a fairy from the enchanted forest. Our great oak tree is dying, and this dewdrop is its only hope." The shadows hesitated, then slowly retreated. The voice softened. "You are brave, little fairy. Go now, and save your forest." Faye flew back as fast as her wings could carry her. She reached the enchanted forest, just as the last leaf of the great oak began to fall. She poured the golden dewdrop onto the tree's roots, and in an instant, the tree began to glow. Its leaves turned green, and the flowers around it bloomed once more. The fairies cheered, and the fairy queen placed a gentle hand on Faye's shoulder. "You have shown us that even the smallest fairy can have the biggest heart." From that day on, Faye's wings sparkled with the colors of the stars, and she was known as the bravest fairy in the enchanted forest. And the great oak tree stood tall and strong, a reminder of Faye's courage and the magic of believing in oneself.